Hey, we've been hearing some rumors about some giant trophy-sized crappie that have been coming out of a little lake located up in the northeastern corner of the state of Louisiana. On this week's episode, we're going out to investigate those reports and see if they're true. Come on along. Fox Sports Outdoors is on the air right now.
It's time for your weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news from the Southeast region. This is Fox Sports Outdoors.
Well, it is a gorgeous springtime morning right here in northeast Louisiana. Sun's just coming up over the horizon. Looks like it's going to be a great day to get out and do some crappie fishing. And as you can see, the beautiful serene shot just over my right shoulder is one of the back coves with a lot of standing timber at Poverty Point Reservoir. That's where we're located today. This lake is situated right up in the far northeastern corner of the state of Louisiana. Bayou Macon runs right along beside it. This lake has got a real interesting history. It's named for some of the Indian mounds, and a historic site located nearby where they found a lot of old Indian artifacts. There's an active population of black bears that roam this part of the country. A lot of interesting things going on around here that we'll talk about, but mainly it's the crappie fishing for the big trophy-sized crappie that grow right out in that lake. So today we're going to take the Nitro Z20 out on Poverty Point Reservoir for my first trip here. Show you around, show you some techniques that may work if you'd like to come here, and some of the other things that there are to do in the area. While I'm out doing that, we're taking you around the region for your local fishing and lake reports from your backyard from our expert team of insider reporters on your local lakes, rivers, and bays, both fresh and saltwater. Right now, Z20 goes into Poverty Point Reservoir in Louisiana. We take you back to the FSN studios to get it all started with your weekend planner.
The Salooner tables are forecasting the best game fish action of the weekend to begin right around sunrise and again around sunset on both Saturday and Sunday. Look for the sun to rise at 6:56 and set at 7:58. And the moon will be 75% illuminated. Stay with us for freshwater and coastal fishing updates from around the region. Plus, Bassmaster elite angler Randy Howell joins us to answer your Ask the Pro question. We're coming right back.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Tracker Boats. It's more than just a boat, it's a tracker. Costa Sunglasses, see what's out there. Mercury Marine, official outboard of Fox Sports Outdoors. And Lowrance Electronics, find, navigate, dominate.
There's one. Oh, good crappie, good crappie. Look at that dude. Wow. Got him. Man, are we off to a start or what? Look at that. Good grief. That is exactly what we came all this way to do. Hey, welcome back, everybody. We're on the lake, and little bitty Bobby Garland crappie jig caught a toad right there. Well, I'm going to put some fish in the live well today. Good start. Okay, let's get you a little info about Poverty Point Reservoir. It's 2,700 surface acres, entirely man-made. They actually took an old bean field here in the early 2000s, put dikes all the way around it, put riprap on those dikes for erosion control. It's a fairly shallow lake, about 8-foot average depth. There is some deeper water in some of the canals. It opened in 2003, so it's a relatively new lake. Fairly clear water for a lake that's just kind of out in the field like this, and for some reason it grows giant crappie. In fact, I want to show you a couple of pictures right here. We've got a great state park here, beautiful facility, and they weigh a lot of the fish that get caught out of here, and I'll show you a couple of pictures, but these are some giant trophy crappie that grow in this lake, and you can see some of these fantastic pictures. Some of the biggest crappie that have ever been caught on the record books in the state of Louisiana have come right here out of Poverty Point and get weighed in right there. So that gets you some idea of what this lake is like. We're going to do a little more fishing. Actually, I caught that fish on a spinning rod, but I'm going to show you my setup here in just a second. I'm actually spider rigging today, and I'm going to try to do most of my fishing spider rigging. I'll show you that coming up in just a second. Right now, let's get you started with fishing and lake reports.
Hey folks, it's time for your Carolinas Report, this week brought to you by the Dead Dog Saloon, located on the Marsh Walk in Merle's Inlet. We are definitely an area you need to put on your list of destinations to visit when you're in the Grand Strand. Open 7 days a week for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Come hang out with all the locals and see why it's always about the food, the view, and the music right here. Tell you what, Georgetown County did an incredible job with the recent Bassmasters Elite event. We had a great time down there. I tell you what, I got out and marshaled, rode along with these guys on Thursday and Friday, the first 2 days, and I got stuck with 2 guys that made that run to the Cooper River, which for Britt Myers was definitely worth it. Our good old local boy Britt Myers, with a 56.3 pound bag of fish, came away with the victory. Right behind him was Brett Height, who on Sunday just could not come up with a big enough fish to knock him off of that pulpit. I tell you what, those guys are down there fishing those flooded rice fields. Chatter baits and spinner baits was the go-to bait down there. A lot of guys that went down there and made that run also did some punching of the grass, but most of them were fishing those flooded rice fields and those ditches and found those fish in there, stacked in there. Also, a lot of guys stayed up here and fished the Santee River as well as the Waccamaw River. Had a great time up there. Congratulations to Britt Myers. Congratulations to Georgetown County on an awesome job in bringing this event in. Also, in the freshwater side of things, get out there and get those crappie. They're still biting, and look for those other panfish to start moving into those beds. This has been your Carolinas Report, brought to you by the Dead Dog Saloon. We'll see you next week. Remember, fish smarter, not harder. Keep your chaos organized.
Hey, I mentioned I'd show you how I've got my spread set up with my rod holders. As you can see here, I've got rod holders on either side, and I've got a big 14-foot long rod on the front, and then I back that up with an 11-footer behind it. So what I'm doing is covering 2 distances out from the boat. I'm gonna be covering several different depths, and then you come over here to this other side, I've got pretty much the exact same thing. I've got a big 14-foot long rod in the front, an 11-foot long rod behind it. So basically I'm covering 28 feet of water, a 28-foot wide swath, and I've got these rods staggered, and I'll be experimenting with different depths. I'm using my remote control Motor Guide XI5 trolling motor to steer my way around, and I'm just gonna slowly ease my way around, check different depths, different lengths of line out, see if I can get bit. Hey, one thing before we take a quick break, I've had a chance to talk to some locals around here. Number one, you're gonna be fishing around tons of people if you come here. There's probably 100 boats on the lake today, and it's just basically the middle of the week. It's on a Tuesday. This is not a quantity lake. You're not gonna come catch a bunch of crappie here. It's a trophy crappie lake. You may catch the biggest crappie of your life, but you're probably not gonna catch any big limits or anything like that. So don't come expecting to keep a whole bunch of fish and fill your fish basket or your live well with fish. You're gonna be fishing for one really big fish if you fish it. We'll be right back for more from Poverty Point Reservoir in Louisiana. There's one right there. Oh my gosh, look at that. What a pig. I got my net all the way out to the far end. Come in that net, got him. Oh man, look at this. What a giant toad. Golly. Unbelievable, look at the size of that crappie, will you? That is a hog. We're gonna stick that dude on the scale just to see what he weighs. Big old long 14-foot loose Wally Marshall Signature Series rod stuck way out there with a little bitty Bobby Garland bait on it. We'll show you all this at the end. Hey, welcome back everybody. We're at Poverty Point Lake today, just north of Delhi, Louisiana. And this place is pretty amazing, I tell you. It produces tons of huge crappie. Some of the biggest crappie on the record books in the state come from this lake. I want to tell you right now that we're fishing a little bit of a strange way. One of the questions that Wally Marshall told me he gets asked most often is, how do you fish on a lake that doesn't have a lot of cover in it? There's not a ton of brush, stumps, rocks, not a lot of stuff. It's a fairly open water, fairly cover-free lake. So what you do is you put out a spread of these rods and rod holders and you spider rig and you just cover a lot of water. Now, that interesting thing about that crappie right there, we're in 22 feet of water right now, and that crappie was only about 6 feet under the surface. So you don't always need to be fishing at the bottom. You set them at various depths. I've got one set about 10, one about 8, one about 6, and one about 5. So I'm experimenting with the depth to see how deep these crappie are. And this one hit the rod that was probably 8 feet down in 22 feet of water. Just a giant crappie right there. Unbelievable. And real quick, let's stick him on the scale. 2.5, 2 pounds, 5 ounces. Right now, we get you fishing and lake reports from right where you live.
This part of the program is brought to you by MirrOlure, the right tools to catch them. From topwater plugs to subsurface models to deep running lures like the deadly Heavy Dean. Turn on the bite anytime. Tie on a MirrOlure. Well, great weather has really kicked off some great fishing throughout the southeast coastal area. In Alabama, Captain Charlie Gray out of Dauphin Island tells me that when you can find some clear water, the trout fishing has been great around the island when he's using live shrimp underneath popping corks or rattling corks. He also says that sheep's head limits are being caught using fresh shrimp in South Mobile Bay and also in nearby Mississippi Sound. He says the sheep's head are really around the gas rigs and use 1/4 to 1.5 ounce sliding sinker rigs, Carolina type rigs, and be sure to use fluorocarbon leaders because the fish are very spooky. Charlie Gray also says that flounder and redfish are being caught in good numbers in South Mobile Bay. Use shrimp, live shrimp for redfish or crab, and flounder are taking bull or mud minnows. In Mississippi, cobia is starting to show up around Horn Island. They're around the tide rips. These fish are 35 to 40 pounds. Chumming is getting them, but they got to fish baits on the bottom. Trout fishing has been good around Cat Island and also in the nearby Chandeliers for anglers jigging the deeper cuts. Redfish to 20 inches are being caught around the shell bars and rocks in Biloxi Bay using crab and shrimp. Foster and Gabe Bean did real well in Biloxi Bay the other day. They caught 22 redfish using crab and shrimp baits. In Georgia, spadefish and sea bass are on the nearshore reefs and wrecks, and triple tail are on the beach. Well, that's it for the Coastal South. Get out on the water and take a youngster with you when you go.
Welcome to the Alabama, Georgia, and Mississippi Freshwater Fishing Update. This week's action is brought to you by Lake Guntersville, Alabama. Boasting 69,000 acres of clear blue perfection, the area offers hotels, lakefront cabins, public boat ramps, and restaurants. If you prefer a big fish and a big pond, Guntersville is the right destination. www.fishguntersvillelake.com. Now, as we enter this week in April, the largemouth bass are on the spawn in deep South Mississippi's Flint Creek Water Park. This 650-acre lake near Wiggins in Stone County is one of the biggest in southern Mississippi. Expect to find the action in the upper end of the lake where the bass are bedding near shore. Target main lake points in the morning with topwater lures or Cincos and flukes. Later in the day, switch over to Carolina or Texas rig plastic worms or lizards, and spinner baits are another option, but you need to fish those very slowly. Over in Alabama, the shellcracker action is fast and furious on Gant Lake just to the north of Andalusia. These red ear sunfish are spawning in the upper end of this 2,700 acre impoundment, and look for the beds on the flats near the cypress trees. In Georgia, the 7 ponds of McDovey public fishing area just to the west of Augusta are offering good fishing for bluegill this week. Tossing crickets near the fishing piers or other structures is a good bet for getting some bites.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day. Lose, fueled by passion, driven by innovation. Feel the difference. Gene LaRue and Bobby Garland Lures. With our baits, a good day of fishing is in the bag. And Strand Fishing Lines, the standard of dependability.
Just about right here. Got it. Oh, good pull, good pull. Look at him pull that rod down. That's a big old black one. Right there, I think I can just lift this one in. All right. Whoop. Don't go away from me. All right. All right, there's another one. Welcome back, everybody. That's an old dark colored crappie right there on little, kind of a copper colored jig right there. All right, well, we're Poverty Point crappie fishing today. Let's talk a little bit about the spawn. We're in the springtime right now, headed into the summer months a little later, but right now we've got fish in several different stages of the spawn. And I'll tell you this, all the crappie don't spawn at the same time. So a lot of these fish are sitting out over these deeper channels out here. As I Mentioned earlier, we'll be fishing anywhere from 5 to 25 feet of water today, but a lot of these females, which I don't know if that is or not, will be sitting out there over that 20, 25 feet of water, letting those eggs ripen. And here's the deal, when the surface water temperature warms up, those fish will move up in the water column. So they're down there deep in the winter, but as the water warms, they just slowly rise to the surface. They'll get about 5 feet below the surface where they can get some of that good warmth, let those eggs ripen, then they move horizontally to the shore. Now we're not more than about 30, 40 yards off the shore. In fact, we'll show you, we've got rocks lining this entire shoreline here, and those fish will move up there in 3 to 5 feet of water, make beds about as big around as a trash can lid, kind of like a bass does. The females will lay the eggs, the males will come in and fertilize those eggs, and that's the spawning process. But you can catch some deep, some shallow, and that's the reason. You've got some pre-spawners, and you've got some spawners, and some that have already spawned all at the same time. You've just got to move around, experiment, and see where they are. This one goes in the live well. We take you to more fishing in Lake Reports.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's Tennessee and Kentucky Fishing Report. This week's report is brought to you by Vicious LED. If you have LED needs, Vicious has you covered. From auto to boat to agriculture to ATV, all the LED needs you could possibly have, Vicious will have the best product available. Keep an eye open for more information from Vicious LED. Guys, this week in the Tennessee and Kentucky region has been off the charts. All the reports I'm getting, all of the brief experience I've gotten has been very, very good. The water's coming up, the temperatures are rising, and what that means is the bass are headed to the bank. All throughout this region, the bass are in pre-spawn to spawn. So just if you want to narrow down your fishing, look around the bank. Throw plastics, jigs, spinner baits, lipless baits, square bills, and swim baits. I know that's a lot, but that's the joy of this time of year. You can catch them just about any way you want to. Let's talk crappie for a minute. The Tennessee River and the Cumberland River are on fire. Soft plastic jigs or jig heads tipped with soft plastic seem to be the most popular thing, and they're really moving shallow. Look for gravel banks with cover on them, lay down stick-ups, stake beds, whatever, you know, that kind of cover that crappie get around and they're getting ready to spawn. So guys, here's the deal. Catfish is gonna be just right around the corner in the Tennessee and Kentucky region. Let me give you some hot spots to check out over the next couple of weeks. The crappie bite is full blown on Reelfoot. The bass bite on Percy Priest is probably as good as anywhere around, and the bluegill bite is right around the corner on the Tennessee River. So guys, stay tuned. We'll keep you up to date on what's happening. God bless.
Before we go to a break, I want to mention a couple of things about the area here. I mentioned there's a great state park here at Poverty Point. Fantastic facilities, a fishing pier, nice boat ramps, some hiking trails, great place to bike. They've got some cabins to stay in, and we are staying at the Black Bear Stay and Play Lodge. There's a really nice golf course just off the lake here at Delhi, Louisiana. Fantastic place to come on a trip and play a little golf, and a great lodge that we're staying in. Fantastic rooms, everything you would need in one spot. Here's all the information if you'd like to stay where we stayed. That's at the Black Bear Stay and Play Lodge right at the golf course. One long city block right off Poverty Point Reservoir. Hey, you can fish and play golf at the same trip. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Be sure to join Fox Sports Outdoors again next week, Thursday night at 6, or catch the repeat airing Sunday morning at 8:30. And you can always watch the latest episode in full HD on the front page of our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. Plus, catch up on all past episodes by clicking the archive button, and see lots of how-to and product videos by clicking the how-to button. Also, stay up to date with the latest fishing news, videos, and photos by clicking the follow button on our Twitter feed, and get lots of that same info by clicking the like button on our Facebook page. Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Exide AGM Marine Batteries. Starts like new, stays like new longer. Motor Guide Trolling Motors, because accuracy matters. And Nitro Performance Fishing Boats. Champions aren't born, they're made.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for the Ask the Pro segment, where viewers get expert insights from professional anglers. This week's question comes from Brent, who asks, is there a technique to specifically target big spotted bass? For the answer, we checked with the man who won the 2014 Bassmaster Classic Randy Howell.
You want to catch a big spotted bass, I love those. Alabama spotted bass, Coosa River's where I grew up fishing a lot. If you want to catch a big spot in the springtime, two different ways, a big crankbait, a Livingston lure, a howler crankbait, a crawfish color like I won the Classic on, that's a good way to catch a big spot. Another way is a Carolina rig with a Yamamoto 5-inch green pumpkin Cinco. 3-foot leader, cover a lot of water in that 5 to 10 foot range, and those big spots that are out there spawning deep will bite that Cinco. So I hope that helps you catch more fish.
Thanks, Randy. If you have something to ask one of the pros, simply visit our website and follow the Ask the Pro link to submit your question. Now it's time to give away a new pair of sunglasses on the Costa Catch of the Week.
Hey, next up, I get to give away a free pair of Costa sunglasses on the Costa Catch of the Week contest. Just a second, I'll tell you how you can enter and have a chance to win. Here's this week's winner. Scott Dill of Gainesville, Georgia, caught a 43-pound, 55-inch cobia in the Atlantic Ocean. If you'd like to be our next winner, just go to our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. On the right-hand side of the front page, click on the Costa Catch of the Week box, and you just might be our next winner. And you can see all of the Costa frame and lens styles at their website. Just go back to the front page of our website, click on that Costa logo you see there. You can see all of their great products, including the fantastic 580 glass and polycarbonate lenses and all the frame styles, including the frame style I was wearing on this week's episode. It's called Double Haul. Next up on the Academy Right Stuff feature, I quickly just want to show you the baits that we caught these big giant crappie on this week's episode. They're all Bobby Garland baits. These are all Bobby Garland Mo-Glo jig heads. I think this is the 1/24 ounce size. And these are 4 different bodies, basically all new Bobby Garland colors. The top 2, the Bobby Garland Slab Slayers, and the bottom 2 are the Bobby Garland Baby Shads. Fantastic colors. If you're coming here or really anywhere else, you want to catch a big crappie. This one is entitled The Lure and Lie of Retirement. Our American culture teaches us that if we show up and work hard for an entire career, we can go to that time clock, punch out one last time, retire, and life can become all about us. You know, the shame of that is that we spend an entire lifetime learning from our experiences what to do and what not to do. And we could pass that knowledge along to the generation coming behind. I'm asking all of us to resist those voices that say we've earned it. We're entitled because we've worked hard for an entire career, and use that knowledge to help someone else. Why? Because history has proven many times over that selfishness never leads to fulfillment or happiness. I hope you enjoyed our trip today to Poverty Point Reservoir located in northeast Louisiana. Hey, remember, if you're coming here, expect big crowds, lots of fishing pressure, but you could catch the trophy crappie of a lifetime. Until next week, I'm Barry Stokes saying be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.